Good morning.
And good morning to you.
How are you?
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so good to hear. Thank you for agreeing to chat with me this morning. It's really early, I guess, but it's a day, so I'm
It's
very
early, but
happy.
I have green tea with turmeric, ginger, and peach. So I'm good.
I'm gonna send Michelle over there to get some of that. She would
All
want
right.
that.
All right. It's all organic.
All organic, right down her alley. So, will you please tell us your name and share a little bit about yourself so we may get to know you a little bit better?
My name is Minnie Forte-Brown. I am an educator by vocation. I am a servant leader by avocation. I have been on the Durham Public School Board, elected official for 16 years. I did not reapply for that seat. Um, Instead, I passed the baton to a young lady I thought would be just perfect for Durham, and so far she is. I mentored her for 2 years, and so I'm pleased with that. Durham saw fit to see that she too would be a great leader for District 1 Consolidated.
That's wonderful.
I am a professor at North Carolina Central University. Um, I've been there in that position since 1976, taking leaves to go and study and to get married and to do other things, but always coming back to North Carolina Central University. So I retired in 2011, and the chair of the department felt that they needed to have some adjuncts come on because salaries were so high and they needed people to come back and teach. He asked me would I do that, and I did, and I've been there since then. So it's been about, let's see,
7, 8 years, 9 years.
yes, about 7 or 8 years since then.
So I want to start.
I'm married. I have 2 grandchildren. I have a beautiful daughter. I am blessed to be a member of the White Rock Baptist Church congregation family. I am a Durham native, graduate of Hillside High School, proud to be a Hornet, graduate of St. Augustine's, starting out at Morgan, going to St. Aug. St. Aug allowed me to take courses at Shaw, finished in 72, taught in Baltimore, Baltimore Public Schools, left there and came and got my master's at NCCU, and again began teaching there as soon as I finished. Left to go to Howard to work on my doctorate, and my mother was in a train derailment, and I needed to come home, and so that interrupted my studies there. But I'm a bear, and a bear 2 times, Morgan State Bear, a Shaw Bear, a St. Aug Falcon, an NCCU Eagle, and a Howard Bison, all historically Black colleges and universities. I'm proud of that.
Amen. Very, very good. So can we start by you telling us how you know me?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I met you because you were a student in my public speaking class.
Absolutely. That's how you know me.
And yes, and then you made good pound cakes. You did a demonstration pound cake for a speech, and you gave us pound cake, and I said, I really like this chick. And then you did a great speech, and I selected you to be in one of the first public speaking competitions that we established on campus. And from then on, I mean, you decided to try to take charge of my romantic life. And you introduced me to my now husband, who was your brother-in-law before he was my husband. His name is Roger Brown. We call him Ray. And so that has been just a great addition to my life. And therefore you are an addition to my life, not only as my former student, but also as my sister in love.
Absolutely. The reason why I asked that question was because I was trying to make a point. Like, one of the things that's so great about you is how much you do to bring people along. And, as a non-traditional student in your class, long before we were family, long before we were friends, you were there nurturing. And what I could say I know about you ever since I've known you, is that that is your greatest gift, is your ability to nurture and to bring people along, especially when you're struggling with the obstacles that you encounter every day, you know. And so I think that is your greatest strength. The fact that you're in education makes it even more important, because you see issues and you address them. And I think that's wonderful about you.
Thank you.
Yes. So you said you were a mother and a grandmother. Can you
Mother and grandmother, yes.
I
just talked to my oldest grandson just now. He and his wife and my family in love, his wife's mom and dad and sister, just completed climbing a Stone Mountain. They hiked up Stone Mountain this morning.
That's in Georgia?
Yeah, they live in Atlanta now. So he called me this morning, tell me when they reached the top and how good everybody was. So I told him, I said, I'm going to do that with you.
Lord,
I'll be at the top. Now, I mean, not really hiking. I'll just be there.
You be at the top when they get up there, right?
Exactly.
I love it. So being a mother and a grandmother, and you mentioned sons, how do you feel in this climate of racial tension that is pervasive throughout America and probably other parts of the world as well?
You know, it tells us in the Bible that we should pray fervently. That's even more clear to me. I'm on my knees every night, but all during the day, I am praying that God will build a fence around my grandchildren and protect my children, and not only mine, but those that I love and those that I don't even know. I mean, every day I'm just saddened by the fact that Black boys, Black men are just being shot down. I mean, pillowcases being put over their heads and being suffocated, and knees on their neck, and shot in the back 7 times, and shot while you're jogging, and Black women shot while they're in the bed, and shot while you're sitting in your own apartment eating ice cream, shot down and choked to death while you're selling fake cigarettes, or I mean, just anything. It can be anything. Children, just right here in Durham, 3 children playing tag, guns pulled on 15-year-old. It is, and he put down on the ground and handcuffed. When after you realize, okay, wow, now I got the wrong person. You were looking for a grown person, but it is like how Ava DuVernay's When They See Us is such an important film for us to go back and look at. Is When They See Us. What do you see? And see, as a communications professor, you know that that's an element of perception. When I see you, you know, how do I see myself? How do I see you? How do I think you see me? You see, it's all, and that's on the opposite side, that same thing. So it's when they see us, what do they see? What do they see? And the coach for the Clippers, Doc, said the other day, you know, why do they hate us so much? I mean, when we have loved America so much, we have done so much. What is it about us that they hate so much? What is it? And I sometimes I just think it is fear of the unknown. It is just a hatred and a fear. And so because you don't know these people, you don't know these children, it is something, we haven't done anything to you. I'm running from you. It's just when you even just see my being, that says, I'm not worthy to live, to be. And that's frightening when you know you've got children, husbands, brothers, sisters, and even yourself, just existing. So it's almost like, you know, Can I, what do I say? Do I move a certain way? Can I go down a certain street? Should I be out at night? Can I go to this club? Can I walk alone? Can I, just what can I do if the police are following me? How do I respond? We tell our kids, we're giving our kids directions for when you are stopped by the police. You don't see the police as a friend anymore. But if you're stopped by the police, make sure your hands are visible. But even if your hands are visible, if you go to look for if they say, get your registration, Castile was looking for his registration and shot down with the children in the car. So, it really don't matter. So you don't know. So how do I feel? I am praying fervently. That's what I'm doing, praying fervently.
I don't know if you listened to any of my chats, but my husband was the first person I did. He was my first chat. And he told the story. So we've been married 2,000 years or something like that, a really long time. And he had never shared a story with me. But as a young man, he was helping one of his friends, I don't know whether it was his fraternity brother or friends or whatever, move. And he was pulled over by the police. I think he was on his way to Charlotte or Greensboro or somewhere, but he was, on the way, he was pulled over by the police. And they surrounded him with shotguns and guns pointed at my husband. And of course, he's a young man then, not today, it's been a minute. But, when I heard that, it rose a fear in me that it's become almost paranoia for me to an extent for every time he leaves the house, right? My son, he can't leave the house, so he's not going very far. But my husband, he's a social being. He likes to be out and about, likes to talk, I don't even want to go for a walk, and he's trying to do 10,000 steps a day. I'm like, good Lord, worked all in these community. People gonna think you robbing or mobbing or something, because just as you said, how they see us, what you see when you see a Black man walking. And Skip's got a stride about him that's very pronounced. It's not like he's kind of waggling around. He's got swag, and you see it when he walks. And maybe police see that as intimidating, or maybe it is the way we are, or maybe maybe they're pulling things out of their past and applying it to people just generally without actually having facts.
I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. But my question to you is, so this Black Lives Matter movement has gotten a lot of traction. We see it all over the country, Portland, places where, the number of Black people is not as pronounced as they are in the South, but still, you see, people of all races and genders, out there protesting on this Black Lives Matter. And one of the pieces that came out of that, or a conversation that people have been talking about, is defund the police. I think they should educate the police. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think when they say defund, what they're saying is you take some of that money that you've been given to police forces and put it in some other areas that really need to be shored up. For instance, like mental health and social services positions. Those are the things that need to be shored up. So they're not talking about we don't need a police force. I think people are taking it to the extreme. They're not saying that we don't need policing. We know we need policing, but we don't need the amounts of money, the trillions of dollars that are going into. When you look at these city budgets, you'll see that the majority of the monies are going to police forces. And so what you're doing with it, and reallocating it certainly is something that needs to be done when you're talking about putting it in training people. And first in your selection and recruitment process, who are you putting on these forces? And so are they people that are part of the community? I remember growing up, we knew who the cops were. Mm-hmm. We knew who, when I was little, it was Colonel Sampson. It was Officer Meeks. It was people that we knew. All right. Then as I got older, it was Patu. You knew who the people were.
Right.
So they were part of your community. They knew who you were. You saw them. We don't have community policing as I knew it back in that time. So people they weren't a part of your neighborhood. They didn't live. So, these cops don't live with us. So they don't know us. They don't know the children. They don't know these, the projects. They don't live here. So they come from out of town and come into work. And if they aren't a part of the community and don't feel a part of the community, then they can't, it's difficult to police people that you don't care about. It's difficult to teach people you don't care. So there's no There's no love or respect, perhaps. And that when you can take care of a dog much better than you take care of a human, that's something we have to look at.
Absolutely.
If they killed a dog, if we saw somebody put their knee on a dog's neck,
Yep.
that person would be prosecuted immediately.
Yep.
The woman whose pit bull attacked her daughter and destroyed her face,
Mm-hmm.
the woman tied the dog up and shot the dog. They put her in jail. That was right here in Durham. They put her in jail. We haven't put anybody in jail that shot Breonna Taylor in her bed. They were in the wrong house.
Yeah.
I see those kind of things. And when we say the Black Lives Matter movement, it is not to say that white people don't matter, that Asian lives don't matter, that Native American lives don't matter, that Latino lives don't matter. And I think young people get that. I think it's some of the older people. That's why you see in Portland such a diverse mingling of people, young people, the Generation Y and the I, they get it. They get it. It's the tainting of the older people that don't understand that because I say I matter, it doesn't mean that you don't matter. Exactly. I just want you to understand that I matter because you haven't treated me like I matter.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I said very, very beautiful. That's why you're a public speaker. Very, very good. So let me go a little bit further down this road with you. So the early instances of law enforcement began in the slave patrols, right? Bringing slaves back who had escaped and come back, bring them back to their masters or their plantation, whatever it may have been.
Master, you said it right.
And it has evolved into what we know as law enforcement today. The majority of the people in the positions to arrest, prosecute, and sentence people are white, and mostly white men. So the prison to pipeline thing has been there for a while. And public education has constantly been attacked financially, right? So people are constantly challenging, can we cut costs here? I remember North Carolina was one of the last states to go to the lottery. We went to the lottery and they said a portion of lottery funds going to go to education. End up all the lottery funds go to education. So now children don't always have books. Children don't always have enough people in the room. So my husband is an educator. And so he's everything. He's the doctor, the teacher, the classroom manager, everything you could, psychologist. He's all of that rolled into one with an expectation that he achieve whatever the mandate that comes from the people who formulate what education should look like. So where is the breakdown between education and public education and Black and brown communities? What are the pieces there that allow those in legislative powers to defund education, if you will?
You've answered the question. Education is low on the totem pole. It all depends on who you elect and who you put in those seats. If we don't go to the polls and we don't vote on the right people vote along their interests.
Yeah.
And if my kids are all out of school, or they're in great private schools, or they're in great public schools, then I'm not particularly worried about where your kids are. I'm voting for my interest. Mm-hmm. And that appears to be what's happening over in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. North Carolina has the act that says that we are entitled, our Constitution says that we are demanded to give a sound basic education. Well, those are words that, what does sound mean? What does basic mean? And so if I give you it sounds like the least to me.
Mhm.
You don't say, I'm required to give you an excellent education that equips you to be able to have a job, to be employed, employed with a wage that is a livable one, to go on to college, to not only survive but to thrive. We put in our Constitution just very basic kinds of things. So it doesn't empower anybody, and there's no power behind it to suggest that anybody says that we need to do anything any different.
So as an educator, sitting on the school board and all those things, how do you think we address this? What are the things that we can do to address this, at least from the Black and brown communities? Because
well, we need to stop being silent. We need to speak up. You see, again, those of us who have children that are in charter schools or that are in those schools that we know are doing well, we don't say anything. You know, we have to be a community that really looks out for the entire community. See, we used to be, I just taught this in class the other day. If you are an individualistic society, you only look out for yourself. And we have become that. It's a me, 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 me. You know, my family's fed. When I eat, my family's fed. I don't have to worry about anybody else. Well, if you're in a collectivist society, which was the society that we come from, the societies of the East, society, you know, of Africa, is all about the whole, the many, one to many. It's all about that. So I take care of not only myself, but those who surround me. Yeah. When we get back to that, and hopefully with the protests that we're having now, the kind of diversity that we're seeing in the marches, the young people that are leading these efforts, they're about that. They're about that, becoming more of a collectivistic society. That's where we are. Until we understand that, until all of us are free, none of us are free.
Amen.
And so that's the same thing. Just because your child is in a great classroom, if that little kid that's in the next classroom is not in a great class with a great teacher, then we're in bad shape. We got to look out for everybody. That's what we are. And that's what the school board has to do. That's what the school board is commanded to do. It is for the total community. And again, it depends on who you put in those seats, who you elect, and who you stay silent. If you stay silent, then you don't complain about it, then things continue. So it is important that when you see a wrong, you speak on it. We can no longer be silent about it. So we have public forums, and we have public forum every time at the school board. So that's important. That's important that we do that.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. So you said it's important in who we elect. So if you take the makeup of public schools, what's the percentage of Black and brown teachers? What's the percentage of
Black and brown people are the majority of the Durham public schools
educators?
And so we can no longer say that we are we have a minority population. We have to say that the minorities, Black and brown, are the majority. We have a majority children of color district. That's what we are. And so it's important. I think we've got at least 80%, if not more.
But I'm asking about the people who's actually doing the instruction, the people that are
the instruction, the teachers.
The teachers, yeah.
Oh, the teachers, that's around the nation. Most of the teachers in public schools are white.
And so what's the impact on that when with the statistic you just mentioned, 80%, and yet still the person that they see in front of them doesn't look like them?
Right, but I have different views on this. It's not necessarily that the person that looks like you is going to be the best teacher. Mm-hmm. But what it does say that I get to see somebody in power that looks like me. Now in Durham public schools, the majority of the principals in Durham public schools are Black. So the leadership is Black. The teachers, just like around the nation, are white teachers, but that's because Black children are not going into education. Until we make education a viable career opportunity, we're not going to attract African Americans. Excuse me, do you hear this talking in the background?
A little bit.
A little bit. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to ask you, I have my microphone on. Okay. Thank you. Until we make education attractive to African Americans by saying the salaries are going to be livable wages. You see, if I've got to work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to pay my, for an apartment or a home and take care of my kids, that's not where I want to be. So if I can go into nursing, or if I can decide to be a computer scientist, or if I can go into the natural sciences, a pharmacist, I'm going to do that. So we've got to make education competitive in terms of a career. I've got to see a career opportunity. There's nothing better than being a teacher. There is nothing more noble than being a teacher. We've got to make sure that people not only see it as a noble profession, but a livable profession. It is, you can ask your husband how he feels when children learn. It is the most amazing feeling ever. And it is a fulfilling profession. But I've got to make it attractive salary-wise as well.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about that is how salaries are divided between elementary education and post-secondary education, right? And I was doing a talk the other day and I said, if you haven't watered the root, how in the hell you think the tree gonna grow? Because the teacher.
Well, I don't know if elementary school teachers get less than high school teachers. I don't think that's.
Post-secondary college. I'm talking about elementary. I'm using elementary.
No, college teachers don't get anywhere the amount of money that public school teachers get. Public school teachers get paid much more than college professors do. Trust and know that, honey. No. Public school teachers, until the salaries went down. Public school principals and everything, they get 6 figures, honey.
I mean, but I'm talking about the teachers. So okay, so I work in a predominantly white college, right? And so you're at Duke. If we're talking about the salaries at Duke, you can't compare them to North Carolina Central University. You can't compare them to Howard. You can't, you're in a premier institution. So the only people that are not getting paid livable wages are the people who are working over on the health food side or on the custodial side. You understand that? Yeah. So no, I mean the slave system, the plantation is still working. Those people that are getting paid are those people that are in certain positions that the hierarchy deems needs to get paid that salary. But no, public school teachers in North Carolina don't get paid well. Public school teachers in New York get paid very well. So it's state by state. Now, public school teachers in Mississippi and North Carolina is right next to Mississippi almost in terms of salary, which is a shame, So, you put your money where your mouth, you put your money where your worth is. Yeah. Okay. Where your treasure is, that's where your money is. So, if you don't value education, you don't put anything in it. Yeah, that makes sense. So, what do you think is the future of education? Where do you see this going? So right now, a good portion of the country is learning remotely. Teachers are learning to teach remotely. And there's a lot of talk out there in the space that this will be a year, maybe a year and a half, the students are going to fall behind because of this pandemic. Are there any?
Well, it's a lot of times it's what you say. See, what you speak out into the universe, that means you invite that. So if I'm saying it's going to be a year that's lost, then perhaps I'm going to be a teacher that is a loser. Perhaps I'm going to be a teacher that doesn't work as hard because I've already said it. See, if you speak it, then you speak it into reality. My class is going to be fine. I'm going to teach my class. My kids are going to be fine. They're not going to fall back. And if you're a teacher that feels that, because I'm doing remote, I'm going to make sure that my children feel me, that they see me. I'm going to make contact with them. If I don't see them online, I'm going to call them. I'm going to make sure that they get their lesson. Then that's the kind of teacher you're going to be. But if you're the teacher that says, oh, this is a lost year, then you're not going to do anything.
Yeah. And so how
I can't listen to that because you don't know what the new normal is going to be.
Right. And
so if it is going to be this, then you've got to equip yourself to be the best remote teacher that you can be.
Yeah.
So, I don't, when teachers start talking that whine and mess about this is going to be a lost year. I really take issue with that.
So for Black and brown families where they don't have reliable internet and they don't have reliable resources, I mean, so I think Durham Public Schools and several other schools have given all the kids Chromebooks, so they have. But then that's dependent on having internet connectivity. So
we've made sure that the hotspots are available. Now, Durham, you're not, now Wake County is having issues. Durham is not having those issues. Wake County can't get their Chromebooks out. We just heard that today. But that's the largest school district in the state of North Carolina. They've got over 100 and some thousand children, 130,000 children, families. You know, so that's a whole lot of, it's a network. Durham only has a third of that, not a fourth of that. Mm-hmm. We only have 33,000. We started early. We did our plan early. We were on the same page. We got the Chromebooks out. We talked to our county and our city. We got hotspots. All our people, we've not had any connectivity issues except when the North Carolina iCloud went down. When Zoom crashed, that was an international platform. That is, but we have not had those issues. So, I mean, you know, if somebody hits a tree over here, some stuff may happen. Oh, stuff happens. I don't want us to look at gloom and doom. You know, stuff happens. If you don't pay your Wi-Fi bill, I mean, well, you know, then your Wi-Fi is cut off. But we're not even worried about that because Durham Public Schools is taking care of that. And this is a blessing because if you didn't have a computer in your home before, now you have one that you can use that your kid had. And what Durham Public Schools has done is if there are 4 kids in the family that go to Durham Public Schools, all 4 children have a computer. Mm-hmm. See, so you know, those counties that are not equipped like that, that don't have the connectivity, the broadband, they are suffering. Mm-hmm. And that's when the state has to step in. That's when those senators and representatives from those counties need to get with county commissioners. They need to get with FDA or whatever, and make sure that those things happen. That's see, all politics are local, and it starts with who you put in those seats and how they see you and your family. You know, so if you're out in a remote area and you're not connected, then your school district and your politicians need to get with that. They need to maybe move you to have kids go to a place, have the buses take the kids to a place that is connected, bring the teachers there, mass them. So there are things that we can do. Mm-hmm. See, we can't just sit there and wait until we all get wired up. We've got some places that are wired up and they know it, if it's the church, if it's wherever. So I think we've got to be creative in this process.
That's very, very important to hear that. So then what happens in school where some of our young Black people don't make it all the way through high school? They end up in trouble. You know, some encounter with law enforcement. We may go to juvie, they may go to jail, they may be in prison. What's broken between those things? So how do we get such a higher number of people in prison than in successful jobs in society? Where's the failure at there?
Well, you know, we talk about the school to prison pipeline. Well, we talk about what's happening in our families. I mean, there's no one reason why that happens. You know, first reason is they got caught. There are a lot of kids that are doing a lot of things, they don't get caught. And a lot of kids are doing a lot of things that parents have enough money to get them attorneys that they get them out of it. So a lot of children who are living in families that don't have access, don't have the same means to do that. But the schools, it all starts with how we see people, how we see their behaviors and everything. What is my perception of your behavior? Do I see your assertiveness as aggression? Do I now write you up? Do I now pass that information on to the next teacher that you're an aggressive, insolent child that misbehaves? Is that a tag that you get on you and it follows you, and I continue to send you follow-ups? Do I not praise you? Do I not ever see anything positive that you've done? Do I not say good things to you? Do I not support you? So many times, if a kid feels like I'm the one that is always in trouble, they don't see me as being a good kid, I never get any kind of positive feedback. So I act out to get the feedback. And if the adult sees that acting out and doesn't look beyond the action and see why, then I write you up, and you continue to get write-ups, and you get suspended. And then that just follows a pattern in many times. And so until somebody breaks it, until you get old enough to say, I'm gonna break it myself, and you get some help, then you continue down that path. That's just one scenario. And it could be just, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. Stuff happens. But in every step, wherever you are, there are ways, there are alternatives. And our job is to show them alternatives. Our job is to, at every misstep, and we all make missteps, somebody should be there to say, let me show you another way to do this. Let me give you another pattern, how we can handle this and accomplish what is it you're trying to accomplish. Let me help you accomplish that. It's about being reachable, and loving that person on the other side. So when we talk about Black men, we know that a lot of our incarcerations, suspensions, write-ups are unfounded, unjustified. We have men that are sitting on death row that never should even been there. We have people in prison that are falsely imprisoned. And so you have people like they do with the Innocent Project. You got people that are working to fearlessly, tirelessly to free people that have been wronged by being placed in the criminal justice system. And when they say the school to prison pipeline, it does start many times right there in the classroom with how I am seen and viewed in school. And from there on, that tag or that bullet on my back or that target on my back is one that just continues on throughout.
And there's no way to, so if, say when you were in K through 6, someone said that you were whatever these labels are, when you move to the next quarter of school, say middle school, that tag does not fall off. It follows you through your entire.
No, the tag follows you. Well, of course, it becomes a part of who I see I am now. It becomes how I see myself, because you've told me it's self-fulfilling prophecy. This is all communication work. If you tell me I'm bad, then I begin to describe myself as bad. You tell me I can't read or I'm slow, I begin to define myself like that because I fulfill the prophecy that you've given me. You aren't going anywhere. You're never going to be. I fulfill that. I become that. And if I hear it from the people that are most significant to me, and the teacher is one that is most significant. But if I hear from my parent, if I hear from my teacher, if I hear from my friends, then that's who I am. That's the label I put on myself. And I then begin to be that. So that's real. That becomes real. I may even give myself that tag. I may put lose across my face. I may have that as my tag. Who knows?
So I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and one of my favorites is Steve Harvey. He tells a story of a teacher asking them to write what they want to be when they grow up. And he wrote on the paper he wanted to be on TV. And he had a stuttering problem. He had all these problems. And when the teacher called his mother and said he was in there being a smart aleck. And then, dad comes home and, his dad says, he gives them some advice, right? He says, go and write what the teacher wants you to write on a paper. But take that piece of paper where you say you want to be on TV and put it in your drawer. Look at it every morning, every night. When you get up, you go to bed. Don't let anybody be dream killers for you. that person at home who is your advocate usually has a lot to do with your success. Steve Harvey did not finish high school, you know, all of these things. But I think your point is so valid that, you know, where are you getting these messages from, right? So if the teacher says the only thing you could be is these things, somebody at home or somewhere else has got to be pushing you to see it differently, you know, and he tells a story after he became famous. He sent the woman to TV every year until she passed, you know, and I thought, you know, that's a powerful lesson right there, you know. So, you know, someone, you know, shoots your dream down, but then there's someone there to reaffirm your dream so that you can then move forward. In the public schools, you know, are children coming home and telling their parents what happened to them? I mean, so if they get in-school suspension, are the parents notified?
Oh, yeah.
If they are expelled, the parents are notified. And is there a process?
We've stopped what we call, we try to avoid out-of-school suspensions. And even when we do, we have academic enrichment for those children because they still go to school. Mm-hmm. Our children are never out of school. Mm-hmm. The only time you're out of school is if you're carrying a bomb, you make a threat, you hit or assault a teacher. The law says you have to leave school, and that is the law. But as far as Durham Public Schools is concerned, our goal is to keep children in school. And most school districts, the goal is to keep children in school. So you want to try to have policies, and you do not only try to have, you institute policies that keep your children in school so they stay learning. And you put them in environments where you know they're going to be nurtured. So we have restoration. Excuse me. Could you all please get Sonic? I'm trying. My dog is trying to play with me while I am on Zoom with you.
I can't tell you how many dogs I have interviewed in these chats, you know, so the dogs come in and get.
Well, Sonic would like to be interviewed. Sonic, come here. He doesn't, his dad doesn't want him to be interviewed now.
Oh, he don't want his face on the camera.
He's not dressed appropriately.
I love it. That's great. Well, next time we talk, just me and you and the dog, we could interview the dog and see what the dog is thinking about how things are in the world.
Yes, he knows his mommy's talking. But again, our job is to keep children in school. So restoration is what we're about. Making sure that we restore our children back to the promise that they have. They are buds of promise. And we know that they're going to do great things. Now, Steve Harvey talks about his teachers. He's wanted to be on TV. He was probably a comedian back then.
Right.
He was probably in school cracking jokes and everything. And maybe the teacher was annoyed and she said those kind of things to him. But he's where he is now because somebody, not just his daddy, but somebody helped him to overcome his stuttering, whether it was a speech therapist who was a teacher. Somebody taught him. And so he's good today because the teacher has done that.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point too as well. You know, but
we ain't gonna be dogging teachers now.
So I'm married to one, so you know
I'm a teacher by heart. So you cutting the fool in class, yes, somebody's gonna have to tell you, look, you're gonna have to sit down, get yourself together, they're gonna have to call your mom and dad or whatever. But saying negative messages to children does impact them. And so we have to make sure that when we talk to our kids, we talk to them with love, but also with discipline.
That the old saying,
we don't want the police to be the ones that have to discipline.
Right. That old saying when I was little, it says sticks and stones may break my bones, but words I may never heal. You know, and I think the power of what we say has an impact, definitely. You know. And so
the thing you said was words will never, ours was sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never harm you. And so it's the very opposite of that. The words are the ones that you remember.
Right.
The words are the ones that you carry with you. They are just like the crowns on your head, you know. They're there all the time. You remember every negative thing that somebody has said to you that really impacted you. It's right there. You can pull it up immediately.
Right.
So, yeah. We will always remember the good things.
Yeah. It's tattooed on your brain. You know, like the things that people have said about you become tattooed on your brain, and your brain is constantly messing with you bringing you back to that space. And a lot of people get trapped in that they can't get away from the thoughts that they think they are because someone has said this is who you are.
Yes.
You know, and I think the interesting part about that is just that, you know, we have someone in the White House who's, you know, he likes to call people names. He likes to say negative things. And so what does that message overall say to those that are watching and learning and following his behavior? Because, you know, there are a lot of kids who believe, you know, that he's correct, he's doing right, he's being realistic and all this stuff, where to me it's just seems like he's a bully. I mean, if he was in school, somebody would probably suspend him or send him to some special training, but he seems to think that it's okay to call people's names or to say bad things about people, you know, call people losers and suckers and all kinds of stuff like that. So is that message somehow or another pushed through education as well? I mean, even in the school setting?
The message that he delivers?
I mean, that it's okay to call people's names and say bad things about people.
No, that is, you know, that is not pushed in education, but children call kids names.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, that that's one of the ways you you fight back is you look at, you call people names, but clearly that's something that is frowned upon. But the example that's being set by the highest office in the land is something that is disgraceful for America. It is, he's very public with it. And we can see the harm that is done. A 17-year-old in Portland, Oregon, walked through the streets armed. Or was he in Cincinnati? Where was he? I can't remember where this kid was.
Wisconsin, maybe?
Wisconsin,
yeah.
Yes, Wisconsin. Walked through the streets armed and shot people. He shot people and killed them. And he was praised by the person that occupies 1600. I can't call him
me
the
either.
title.
I just say the number.
Because he is not deserving of that title. But he does occupy that seat.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to leave my remaining time to you to say whatever it is you wish to share. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's always enlightening.
You know what? This has been a really pleasant chat. I have enjoyed it. Sonic truly has enjoyed it. He's been sitting here. I have. You've always been a very thoughtful, innovative person. And this is how you can take that thoughtfulness and that innovativeness out into the public arena to chat with different people that you choose to have conversation with. Just to, you know, no scripts, just to sit down and chat. And that's what we don't do enough of. We don't talk to each other enough. We text a lot. The new generation text all the time, but we don't talk to each other enough. And so much is missed from without having face-to-face. And Zoom allows you to still have face-to-face. WebEx allows you to still have face-to-face, even though Zoom is my favorite platform. So I thank you for the opportunity. It's been pleasant for me today. I've had my tea, and you tell my niece that she can certainly, I know she already knows all about this, Paul Newman's organic turmeric and ginger tea mixed with celestial seasonings, ginger turmeric or ginger peach, and some green tea to give you the caffeine that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So tell my niece, anytime you want to have tea, her auntie is available for that.
I'll make sure I share that with her.
Please do.
I have been looking forward to chatting with you. It's been a long time coming, but I've been looking forward to chatting to you because I think.
And I'm waiting for my birthday present.
You ain't got no birthday present. You blocked me on your phone. But you know, I thought this chat would be exactly what it has been. You know, like, you know, enlightening. People ought to be able to listen to this and get some insights. You know, and maybe school districts that are struggling with these issues that you raised here today can listen to this chat and see.
And I'm glad you said that, because what I want struggling school districts to know is that you have friends out here. The district we have to replicate what's being done that's good. So if you see something that Durham is doing that's good, and you call and you say, look, how do I do this? How do I need help in doing this? Who do I contact? That's what we're here for. So I have mentors down in various districts that I deal with, that's what we do. We are school board leaders, and you're not going to ever do it by yourself. And so right here in the state of North Carolina, call on your friends, those people who are outside the state of North Carolina that are doing great things, whether it's in Miami, you replicate. All you want to do is make sure that your children are given every opportunity. Access to opportunity, excellence, and equity is the name of the game. So get it however you get it. Beg, borrow, or steal.
No stealing. Thank you so much, Ms. Forte-Brown, Mrs. Forte-Brown.
You started my morning off. It's a Saturday morning.
It's a Saturday morning, absolutely. And I am so glad we were able to chat. And I'm going to nail your husband down for a chat so he can tell us about the work that he does. I think that would be exciting for people to hear as well.
Great. That'll be great, because he's one of those restoration leaders.
Absolutely. You know, so we'll make sure that Sonic and you and Sonic go for a walk so you don't have interference like you've had.
I can't walk Sonic. He's too energetic.
Okay. Well, we'll figure something out.
All right.
Thank you so much. And I'll send you a link as soon as this video is converted. Don't hang up yet. Let me turn the recording off.
Okay.